Peace, peace. Back with another video. It's Kamar's son, the off-grid producer. And first of all, I just wanted to apologize for the delay. I like to keep my videos pretty steady now. I'd like to do that, be more consistent. I just been having issues with this microphone. This microphone is giving a lot of feedback and it's glitching. It's distorting. It's just really not sounding that good right now. I don't know what happened. If it fell, if it dropped, or something. I don't know. Maybe I need better cabling, better wires or something. But I'll figure it out. I'm having problems when I screen record and I want to do the mic and the internal audio at the same time. I might have to just do cookups uh, and you just record the internal sounds and then later like do overdubs, like add vocals to it later. But that's been really the main issue because I do want to do some cookups, but there's a lot of cookups too. So I wanted to talk about like loops and samples and where you can get some samples from, or at least one particular place that I used to get my sounds from. You know, because today is just the times today is crazy. Every 5 years or so, it's like a shift in technology or a shift in requirements and the way these loop companies, uh, you know, conduct business. So, you know, like getting those copyright strikes. It happened with me. What I noticed, and this is from a paid loop pack. You spent your money on it, and it says royalty free. Which is royalty free is supposed to mean just that, royalty free. But what happens is you upload it, and next thing you know, oh, we got to remove this. Instagram, Facebook, the video will pop up, and there's no sound. And they're like, yeah, this is the original whatever maker of the sound. Meanwhile, I might have took one part of the beat, and oftentimes it'd be like a voice sample. I noticed, and the voice they could just be like humming sounds. They don't even gotta say words. They could just be humming their voice, making harmony, melodies, or whatever, harmonizing or what have you, and you get a strike. So I used to. So what I did was I said, you know what? Let me see if it is the voice. So I went on and removed the voice, uploaded it again, and then I didn't have any problem. So the majority, 9 times out of 10, it was the voice sample that I used. But you notice it don't feel the same though. When you take that sample out, you're like, man, the vibe is not where it was at. Just if I could just add this little sound in, So that I think when it comes to that vocals and stuff, if you practice vocal like singing and stuff, and maybe you can mimic what you hear, and then do it yourself, record the voice part yourself, or have somebody that can sing and copy that sound. I think that would help. You know, but yeah, there's a bunch of sounds that I got before this era, this new era of copyright and ownership to loops. And, it is kind of like the wild, wild west for loop packs and sounds at this particular time. So I understand they're trying to create some sort of, uh, not organization, but they're trying to get those compensated that need to get compensated. Because I feel like what it is, the sound is fine until somebody get a hold of it that's an artist or a bigger label, a bigger known artist and a bigger label. If they get a hold of a sound, uh, now they have the power and the means to try and shut anybody else down that tries to use that sound. But my issue is like, okay, why is the sound still available? Once the sound has been, you know, somebody else has the authorization and the use, and once they use it, they go on and get it, go through the proper channels to get it copyright. And a lot of times that's where the strike comes from. The individual who made the sound and gave it to a site like, you know, Splice, Arcade, or whichever ones you use. I personally don't use those. I use other sample packs like Cymantix and, you know, stuff like. I've been with them for a while, so um, you know, to me that's, you know, what works for you is fine. Like eventually I will get into with Splice and Arcade and all the other ones when I see more mobile interaction with these devices. They tend to work better on the PC or for like computer based because you can get software and all that stuff from your monthly subscription on one of them. I think Splice does it, you know. So, but I don't know where they're at now with the mobile situation, so I can't say. They could have something that's available, um, you know. But I notice how, you know, those strikes and stuff keep popping up when you're using sounds that you think is royalty free. And where I used to get some sounds from, it was a site, not a site, a YouTube channel. I am a music mogul, and he used to do remakes of all like the latest songs. He still does remakes. Not used to do it. He still does remakes. I just don't tune in as often now, which I am. I'm a little discouraged by the fact that I don't have a MacBook Pro anymore, and I had one when I started, and he uses Logic. And so what he would do is he would give you a list of sounds, like the whole Logic session would be free. I mean, he would just put the link in the description, and if you had other dolls, he would just track it out on a wave, and then you can open up the sounds in any doll you'd like. So, you know, but what I noticed is that helped, and also like he had drum sounds and stuff kits. So I would use some of those drums that he would use, not the drum loops, but I would use the drum sounds, and you know, that would just help boost my overall knowledge of how to make beats modern. You know, because the music scene does evolve too, and but you can be stuck in an era, and you're like, yo, I'm just what I do, and I'm not gonna, you know, get out of that mode. So watching somebody who does remake videos of current songs, you know, alt Drake, Cardi B, you know, whatever the case, whoever it is, that gets your mind in today's time mode when it comes to production. And it's just, you know, more hats to wear, the more types of beats that you can make, the better all of value you'll be, you know. And you know, so that's where I had got some of my drums, some of my sounds and stuff for free. Now today has changed, and in today's times, I don't think he offers those same services for free, but with a membership, I think. And some of them he just might charge a fee, um, you know, to download the sessions. But it's all a learning tool. So it's like, you know, there's ways where you can get sounds and not worry about, you know, the copyright strike. But it's a tough one. That's the issue. That's an ongoing thing right now. So it's and like I said, it's like the Wild Wild West for like loot packs and stuff now. So they're trying to regulate it to give people their just due, you know. But like I said, when bigger artists get a hold of it, that's what happens. Must be when bigger artists get a hold of a sound, or bigger labels, when they got the muscle and the money to strike you down or go after those that they feel like should be compensated, you know. But yeah, I'm not against any of those samples, because sampling to me is just like that's hip hop. You know, using sounds and samples hip hop. Unless you're really nice on a keyboard, I mean, you know, unless you're really good, you know, where you gonna get your melodies from? You know, people now they'll bring in a piano player, and producers will work in a team. What I noticed now, people want to do everything on their own, and that's fine. But certain things, Either you're going to use a sample or you're going to learn how to play that instrument properly. Now, what's going to take you more time? You know, chances are it's going to take you more time to learn that instrument than it is to use a sample. Because certain instruments, like a keyboard, doesn't cut it for every sound that you might need. You know, it's just, even though there's tons of guitars and sounds and everything in the keyboard, a guitarist that plays, it's a different way to play than how the keys respond. You know, now apps like FL Studio Mobile, GarageBand, I'm sure Logic probably at this point. I'm not sure. I haven't been on Logic in a minute. You know, they have the strumming the way where you can make the guitar sound, you know, prior to recording it. You can set it up. You can set your guitars up to where you hit a chord and you can hear it sounding like an actual guitarist is playing. So, you know, the sounds is that's the foundation of hip hop. My homie that passed away, then he was on Sony's DAW back in the day. I can't even think of what that was called. Anyway, Sony had a DAW. He liked it. Not too many people was on it. It had its little time. It had its little window time around when Reason was popping up. Yeah, I don't know why I can't think of it right now. What that Sony platform is. But yeah, you know, and he would say, you know, I need some samples, like, or he'll listen to my beats. I'm on Fruity Loops, and he'll be like, you know, need some samples in there, and I'll be like, well, it sound okay to me, but see, he has that ear, and he was a DJ, and it's like he knew that the importance of, uh, importance of samples. When you DJ and you know how to mix and scratch and put sounds together, that's when you start seeing what samples, you know, how important samples are. Yeah, I was trying to think, what was it called? Oh, Acid Pro. That's what it was called. He was on Acid Pro. He loved Acid Pro. That was his favorite. I was like, yo, I don't even, you know, it almost looked like a video game, you know, set up. Remember when Sony MTV had a beat machine on the PlayStation 2? Anybody remember that? Yo. Oh, that's another. I'll do a little, you know, a little video on that. They even had a little sampler that you can buy. My homie Damien, he bought the sampler. I ain't buying a sampler. I had the PS2 for a little bit until somebody had a crackhead stand with me, and he went on and jacked it. He went on and stole it. Woke up one morning, PlayStation gone. I said, ain't this a, you know, stuff happens, you know what I mean? But anyway, with samples and sounds, it is what it is. The older you got sounds, if you got stuff in your library, that's what I'm gonna start punching up some old sounds. And you know, before this recent onslaught of I'm gonna strike you down if you use my sound that I gave you permission to use. You know, and when it's just one part, that's what kind of frustrates me. It's like you can have everything done yourself. You can have the drums done yourself. You can do the bass yourself. You can do the melody yourself. And then you want to take a voice sample to just add you know, icing on the cake, and now you wanna strike me down over that. You know, I put in all the time to make the beat up until this part. I made the beat. Nobody else did, you know. Um, but that's when the game of chop, you gotta learn how to chop and screw. But you know, you gotta learn that game of chopping your samples, reversing samples, pitching it up and down, do all of that kind of stuff to get it out of its original format. And that's what I'm working on now. Because And it's not easy to do because some of these sounds are so well developed already. When you get them, you're like, man, I don't really need to do anything to it. But if you want to avoid situations now that it's probably only going to get worse, especially as AI starts integrating with the music scene, we it's only going to get worse with the copyrights and people trying to claim ownership. So as much of the original sound that you can do, go ahead on and do it. But I wouldn't encourage anybody to not sample, to not, when people say I make my own sounds, I'm like, well, are you a professional like piano player or a professional? You want an instrument like that? You know, because to me it's just like, uh, if not, it's part of music. And it was right. I was watching a video when Bolo was talking about that. The people that say that they don't sample, and you listen to their beats, and you like, yo, you should sample. Most of the time, the people that say they don't sample, they make all their beats from scratch, be the main ones that need to sample. If I could have did it in reverse, because I tried to do that too, and that's what kind of messed me up as a producer. If I could do it all over again, I would have went in hard on beat samples. If I could have did it my way, I would have did samples and went crazy with that as I'm developing actually how to play. But yeah, so just keep making music no matter what. Sampling is still part of the process, you know. And that's that. And like I said, I'm gonna do some more videos once I can figure out how to do these cook-ups with what I'm working with. It's going to be a little hard for now. Once some more steady income, once some, there's situations that go on in life, and this being off grid and all this is a chapter in our life. And I feel like the chapter is about to come to a close where it's time for us to get back out there in society, because when you're still young, you still got vibrant. Like me, I still consider myself young, although I'm almost 50. And some people, oh, that's old. I don't. I still feel youthful. I still look youthful. So um, some people start out late with that. Uh, in life, whatever they do, there's people who don't become millionaires until they're in their 50s. So um, so this place out here, the trade off for me being out here, in this particular part of the desert, is that there's not a lot of opportunities to come up. We still got to get to this bag and then come back out here once we secure the bag, because we found a so-called cheat code. There's spots right in California. You can get a plot of land. You can build you a cabin. They don't, with little regulations. You can get a well put on your land. You can go solar. We get a lot of sun. But all those is thousands of dollars to get set up. But once you set up, you're set up. Once you get the well going, that's free water for life. Once you get enough solar, that's free energy for life. But it's just the thousands of dollars that it takes to get that. Our goal on this land was to have it and to be able to move around and travel, make our money, and come back. But we got out here and got stuck in a sense. Cars broke down. Now our hustle broke down at the same, the hustle stops, especially when you're doing stuff like Instacart, DoorDash, Uber, all that kind of stuff. As soon as you get car issues, now the money stops. And there ain't a ton of opportunities. And I'm actively seeking. And opportunities is just not popping up right now. I'm 5 miles from the bus stop. So I got to take that in mind. I got to hop on a bike, 5 miles to a bus stop, 5 miles to get home. Except 2 days a week where the bus, they come out here. Other than that, it's an issue just getting to work. And not to mention that 20 miles away is where the work really is. Further than that. You know, there's a little bit of work in town within a 5 to 8 mile radius, but it's not enough. It's not enough work to go around. In this little town, these people are set in their ways. There's racism that I have to deal with, and it's just like this ain't a place where you don't want to be in struggle mode out here. You know, thankfully that I'm active enough to hop on my bike, and I was, really blessed with an opportunity to get a good bike. It's not an e-bike, but it's a $3,000 pedal bike. So if I'm going to pedal, I'd rather pedal that way than to pedal, with some of the older bikes that I had. The new neighbor, he gave me a bike. It was a Giant. It's an enduro bike. So I forgot the exact name, but it has like the full suspension, disc brakes, quick release on both tires, the front and back, and it's a good bike. But it's getting ready to get hot soon. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do till you can do what you want to do. And that's the point where I'm at now and with the family. Everybody's getting older. My oldest son is 18. Uh, my other son will be 17 at the end of this month. And then, 14-year-old, my other son is 14. So we're all we all got to go out here and get it. So if we move back to Arizona is the move, back to Phoenix, we can all get it. It's even with minimum wage or $20 an hour, which ain't much, because if one to two people is doing that, you're going to be struggling to pay bills. But if you got 4 people making, let's aim for at least 25 an hour. If you got 4 people making 25 an hour, now you got $100 an hour coming in, or 5 making 20, because the 14-year-old can work. 14, you can work out in Arizona. So we got, now once you get $100 an hour coming in, now you can pay your bills. So that's what I try to tell everybody. We got to work together. You can't expect one income to be enough. It's just not going to be enough. Because chances are, if I go out here on an entry level, I can get back on the road. I got to get my license. That's another issue. But anyway, to make a long story short, it's time for us to get out of this desert and not be as limited with what we can do and opportunities and things. But I'm going to shut this down. I talked long enough. More videos is on the way. I appreciate y'all. Peace.